The atmosphere is a complex and dynamic system, a delicate balance of pressure, temperature, and moisture. When these elements collide in just the right way, a storm is born. Some storms are gentle, bringing much-needed rain. Others are monsters, capable of unleashing nature's fury. This week, a massive storm system is bearing down on the United States, threatening to upend lives and leave a trail of destruction in its wake. Meteorologists are warning of a potentially historic weather event, one that could rewrite the record books. What makes this storm so powerful? It's a combination of factors, a perfect storm, so to speak. A deep trough of low pressure is drawing warm, moist air from the Gulf of Mexico northward. At the same time, a blast of Arctic air is plunging southward from Canada. When these two air masses collide, the result is explosive. The warm, moist air rises rapidly, fueling towering thunderstorms. The clash of air masses creates powerful winds, and the difference in temperature sets the stage for a wide range of severe weather threats. To grasp the potential danger of this storm, it's important to understand the different types of severe weather it can unleash. Tornadoes, those violent rotating columns of air, are a significant threat, particularly in the central U.S. Flash floods, often underestimated, pose a deadly risk as well, and in the northern reaches of the storm's path, blizzards could bury communities under feet of snow. Tornadoes form when warm, moist air collides with cold, dry air, creating a spinning column of wind. These swirling vortices can reach wind speeds of over 200 miles per hour, tearing through structures and tossing debris like toys. The central U.S., often referred to as Tornado Alley, is particularly vulnerable due to its geography. Flash floods occur when heavy rainfall overwhelms rivers and streams, or when drainage systems are unable to handle the deluge. These sudden surges of water can inundate homes and businesses, sweep away vehicles, and turn roads into raging rivers. Blizzards are characterized by heavy snow, strong winds, and reduced visibility. The combination of these factors can create whiteout conditions, making travel impossible and leaving people stranded. In extreme cases, blizzards can cut off power and communication lines, isolating communities for days. The storm first made its presence known on the West Coast, bringing heavy rain, mountain snow, and strong winds. California, still recovering from a series of atmospheric rivers earlier this year, braced for another round of potential flooding and mudslides. Evacuation orders were issued for some areas, particularly those scarred by recent wildfires. In the Sierra Nevada mountains, heavy snow created treacherous driving conditions and raised concerns about avalanches. Ski resorts, while welcoming the fresh powder, took precautions to ensure the safety of skiers and snowboarders. As the storm moved eastward, it left behind a trail of saturated ground and swollen rivers, setting the stage for potentially more severe weather in the days to come. The West Coast may have been spared the worst of the storm's fury, but it served as a stark reminder of the interconnectedness of weather patterns and the potential for cascading impacts. On the second day, the storm's focus shifted to the central U.S., where the threat of tornadoes, flash floods, and severe thunderstorms reached a fever pitch. Millions of people across the region were in the storm's path, from Texas to the Great Lakes. Tornado watches and warnings blared across the airwaves as meteorologists tracked a dangerous line of thunderstorms capable of producing long-track tornadoes, the most destructive kind. Schools and businesses closed early, and residents sought shelter in basements, storm cellars, and designated safe rooms. As the storms moved across the landscape, they unleashed their fury. Tornadoes touched down in several states, ripping apart homes, businesses, and infrastructure. The air was filled with the roar of the wind, the crash of debris, and the piercing wail of sirens. Section 5, Day 3, A Nation on Edge as the East Coast Prepares. By the third day, the storm's reach extended to the East Coast, bringing heavy rain, high winds, and the threat of coastal flooding. While the risk of tornadoes had diminished, the potential for flash floods remained high, particularly in areas with steep terrain or poor drainage. Cities along the I-95 corridor battened down the hatches, preparing for strong winds that could down trees and power lines. Coastal communities braced for high surf and the possibility of storm surge, which could inundate low-lying areas. As the storm moved out into the Atlantic Ocean, it left behind a nation reeling from its impacts. The full extent of the damage was still being assessed, but it was clear that this storm would be one for the record books. Section 6. The unseen threat. Flash floods and their devastating power. While tornadoes often grab the headlines, flash floods are one of the most dangerous and underestimated hazards associated with severe weather. They can occur with little warning, transforming a tranquil stream into a raging torrent in a matter of minutes. Flash floods happen when heavy rainfall exceeds the capacity of the ground to absorb it, rivers and streams to contain it, or drainage systems to handle it. They can also be triggered by dam failures or the sudden release of water from upstream reservoirs. The danger of flash floods lies in their speed and power. Even a few inches of fast-moving water can knock a person off their feet, and a foot of water can sweep away a vehicle. The force of floodwaters can also damage buildings, wash out roads, and uproot trees, creating a path of destruction. Section 7. When winds howl and hailstones fall, navigating the dangers. In addition to tornadoes and flash floods, this storm brought a host of other hazards, including high winds, hail, and lightning. While these threats may not be as dramatic as a tornado, they can still cause significant damage and pose a risk to life and property. High winds can topple trees, down power lines, and rip roofs off buildings. They can also turn loose objects into projectiles, creating a hazard for anyone caught outdoors. Hail, which can range in size from small pebbles to large grapefruits, can damage crops, dent cars, and break windows. Lightning is a deadly but often overlooked hazard. It is a giant spark of electricity that can strike up to 10 miles away from a thunderstorm, even if it is not raining. Lightning can start fires, electrocute people and animals, and damage electronic equipment. Section 8. Preparing for the worst. A survival guide for severe weather. When it comes to severe weather, preparation is key. Knowing what to do before, during, and after a storm can make all the difference in staying safe and minimizing damage. Before a storm, develop a family emergency plan and practice it regularly. Prepare a disaster supply kit with food, water, first aid supplies, and other essential items. Know your risk. Understand the types of severe weather that are common in your area. Stay informed. Monitor weather reports and heed warnings from local officials. During a storm, seek shelter immediately if a tornado warning is issued for your area. The safest place is a basement or an interior room on the lowest level of a sturdy building. Stay away from windows. If caught outdoors, find a low-lying area and lie flat, covering your head with your hands. Avoid driving or walking through flooded areas. It only takes a few inches of water to sweep a vehicle away. If you see downed power lines, assume they are live and stay away. Report them to your local utility company immediately. After a storm, check on your neighbors, especially the elderly or those with special needs. Be careful when entering damaged buildings, as there may be structural damage or downed power lines. Avoid driving or walking through flooded areas, as the water may be contaminated with sewage or other hazards. Document any damage to your property for insurance purposes. Section 9. The long road ahead. Climate change and the future of extreme weather. As we pick up the pieces from this latest storm, it's important to acknowledge the role of climate change in fueling more extreme weather events. A warmer atmosphere holds more moisture, leading to heavier rainfall and an increased risk of flooding. Warmer ocean temperatures provide more energy for hurricanes and intensify rainfall rates in tropical storms. While we can't attribute any single weather event to climate change, the trend is clear. Extreme weather is becoming more frequent and severe. This storm is a stark reminder of the challenges we face in a changing climate and the urgent need to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and invest in climate resilience. The choices we make today will determine the severity of climate change impacts in the future. By reducing our carbon footprint, supporting clean energy, and advocating for climate action, we can help mitigate the worst effects of climate change and create a safer, more sustainable future for all.